What's up, YouTube? ODST General back again with another Intersystem news update. And this week, guys, we have a bunch more news to share because, yeah, even after, we got more or less caught up on 6 months, there was a few things I left out of the last video. And then on top of that, a bunch of major stuff has dropped since then. But anyways, let's go ahead and get into it. So, starting us off, Operation Trebuchet. The main mod has had a number of various bug fixes and minor changes. Nothing really worth showing in here or talking about specifically, but that has happened. More exciting, however, Operation Trebuchet First Contact has had some pretty big changes, which are really exciting to me at least. Starting us off, changes to Wraith and Shade turrets has happened. So basically they're going to have some color changes, stuff like that. Sticky grenades now actually stick, so they're using that first MEU script that allowed them to stick to stuff, people and other things. So that's going to be really awesome. I'm really excited for that. In that same kind of vein, there's also plasma scorching and stuff that's going to happen on the ground now. So basically there's going to be plasma marks, which you see in some of these screenshots, which is really exciting, and just adds to kind of that extra nice look of fighting the Covenant and all their glowing stuff, especially during nighttime fights. The Elite Officer was added to the main branch, so, this is a guy we talked about being added in previously, so he's added into the mod now, so you can access it, and it's had a couple of small updates since then. Jackals have gotten hair. They started using Rogaine. So yeah, there's I think there's new textures that accompanied this according to the patch notes. But yeah, they've got hair now that's on top of their heads and on their arms and stuff, so that the models are a little bit more accurate to what we've seen in the game. So that's of course always nice. And it sounds like they'll get some further continued improvements potentially. So hopefully we'll see some other stuff come of that too. And then also Jackal names and blood have been added, which I don't know exactly what that means in terms of Jackal names, I guess. But yeah, Jackal names and blood is a thing now. Then we've got some other stuff. Now, we talked about the plasma grenade coming from the first MU. It's not the only thing. We've got the needlers coming from the first MU getting added into Operation Trebuchet. Now, it was also suggested these might get the super combined ability, which I don't know for sure if that's going to be the case or not. That's still up in the air, but I did get some video footage of what that super combine would probably end up looking like if it gets implemented. That would work with and without Ace, from what I've been told. And then yeah, so we'll play the video for that, and then we'll talk about the next thing here in just a second. So I'll just cut out the audio for just a moment here. Okay, yeah, so that is the Super Combine, and now we get to talk about the other thing that the first MU is bringing. And they were teasing this in the background of the Needler shots, but they've now actually shown it in detail, and they are bringing the Ghost to Operation Trebuchet, along with some pretty big improvements to it. Not only is the Ghost getting a whole bunch of new, it looks like, materials and textures, but it's also going to be getting scripted so that it can be operated with a single occupant. Right now, it basically works like a tank, which is what allows it to hover off the ground, because basically the base of the tank is made invisible, and the Ghost is the turret of the tank for all intents and purposes, which means that you have a driver and then you have a gunner, and the gunner is the one you visibly see in the turret, and the driver is hidden away in the invisible section. But when you kill the Ghost, the driver will show up. You know, either the body will get blown out depending on how it gets destroyed, or he'll actually be able to escape, and you'll have 2 elites pop out of a single ghost. So it's not really ideal as it currently is implemented, but that's something that the OpTray team is going to work on getting fixed and making a single occupant vehicle proper. But yeah, the new materials and stuff look really great for it. The Ghost was one of the weaker first MU assets in terms of materials and stuff, in my opinion. So I'm very happy to see that getting updated and getting added into Operation Trebuchet proper, because obviously the Ghost is one of the primary field units, and it makes her being kind of a great asset to face off against for a lot of units, I think. So I'm really excited to see that getting added in. So switching gears and moving over to community stuff, you know, obviously we talked about this stuff being ported in from the first MEU. As far as I'm aware, there's nothing really super relevant going on in the first MEU that most of the community needs to know about. They've had some mod updates on their own end, but with that being said, there isn't really anything exciting to talk about or cover as far as I'm aware. So we're going to go ahead and keep moving on to the 19th fleet. So Demonic, as always, this guy, absolutely crazy. He started working on a Longsword. He said, I don't know if I'm going to do this in Arma, and then like a week later it was in Arma in-game and operational. It's not in the mod as of yet as far as I'm aware, but I'm guessing it will be going in very soon, probably into the 19th fleet mod. It wasn't confirmed last I heard. That may have changed since I last spoke to him, but yeah, Longsword's in. It looked like it had an operational nuke available for it. And it's got some other really cool stuff, but I want to show that off more once we actually get our hands on it, because that's going to be a cool thing to highlight. I'm really excited for. He's also since started work on the Halo 2 Anniversary Pilot helmet. This is very similar to the Faux Hammer helmet that was already on the workshop by Moose. This is the Halo 2 version, whereas Moose's is the Halo CE version. He does sort of have the Halo 2 version because he's got it without the visor, but obviously the Halo 2 version's got that big visor over it, so pretty exciting though. We've kind of gotten this helmet already in the mod, but to have the Halo 2 one proper, we haven't really truly gotten that I can think of, so I'm pretty excited for that. Which is going to go really well if we see this next asset actually get completed and in-game and everything. Now this one's a little bit further out, but Bins is working on the Halo Reach based Pelican, and he was pretty much done with the model. However, having talked to some other folks recently, he's decided to go back and continue improving the quality of his model and continue working on making it look a little bit nicer and everything. So basically it was a low poly model, and he's going to go back and make it a high poly model and get it all finished up, and then I guess I don't know if he's going to go back and change his low poly or not. It still needed texturing and config work, but yeah, he had kind of the base model down, and this is something that he's potentially looking to release as an independent mod. That's all still very much up in the air. Like I said, he needs to basically learn texturing and configuring, or get somebody else's help from within the community to get that set up and squared away. So he's hammering away at that right now, and as updates come and continue for that, we will continue to cover development on that. So we had another new mod come out. This one's Miss Raya Armory, which I think there was already one of those on the workshop at one point in time, which I think it may have been pulled. I can't remember. There's been so many mods, guys, but I swear there was a mod. Name this on the workshop at one point. If I were to go dig through all the mods, I'm pretty sure I'm not crazy. But there's a new one which adds some new assets. It adds the Halo 3 ODST helmet. One of the versions of the Recon helmet, which I'm not sure which version this is from, and the SPI helmet. This is from McDaniels, who is one of the OpTray developers, but this is basically independent from Operation Trebuchet. This is just him kind of practicing modeling and stuff, and so these were taken from the Halo archive. He'd gotten them from somebody there, and he's ported them over to Arma 3. He's not super happy with the textures and materials and stuff, it sounds like, so this is kind of just something really basic because the community wanted it. And, honestly, despite the fact that, yeah, there's room for improvement here, it still looks pretty good. And obviously having stuff like the Halo 3 helmet, or the Halo 3 ODST helmet, and the Recon helmet and stuff, or another version of the Recon helmet, is great. I love it, so I'm excited for that. then we've got some map-related stuff. We've got some more stuff from New Mombasa to talk about. I didn't think we would have anything to talk about with New Mombasa this week, but thankfully, since my last video, there's been a couple of posts and some new assets were teased. Now, these haven't been updated to the files as of yet, but we got to look at a couple of new areas that are being worked on for the map. We've got the orbital elevator, which is seen in a bunch of the concept art and stuff like that and seen from a distance, and this area looks really awesome. I'm really excited for it. But perhaps even cooler is an area we have played in, which is the Uplift Reserve, and so we're getting a version of the Uplift Reserve. Now, in terms of what you're seeing here in these pictures, this has a bunch of Covenant assets and stuff, which will probably be turned into a composition and added in. But obviously these will not be included with the base map, because I don't think they have any requirements for first contact with it, at least for the time being. So stuff like the Corvette you're seeing in the background will probably be pulled out maybe, and yeah, adjustments made as appropriately needed for that stuff. So that's really awesome. Of course, the Uplift Reserve, big gameplay area from ODST, and gonna be a lot of fun, and I'm pretty excited for that. So can't wait to actually see that in game, and hopefully the files and stuff will get updated so I can actually show you guys video footage of those areas and everything. Fingers crossed. Obviously development's still been pretty slow for the new Mombasa map, but I'm hoping it'll pick up a little bit more with continued coverage and everything, and put a little bit more focus back onto the work that the community members are doing on that, because it is of course something a lot of us are excited to see get completed. Alright, so let's continue to move on, and then after New Mombasa, we've got Project Prometheus. Now, I mentioned just a minute ago that the SPI helmet was being added in by that SPI Armory mod by McDaniels. However, a full set of SPI Armor has been added under this Project Prometheus, and this is really awesome stuff. So this is, of course, based off the Ghosts of Onyx book cover version of the SPI Armor. We do have a version of it coming out for Infinite, which is based off the Halo 2 and... Was it Halo 2 Anniversary? No, it was Halo 3 that we've seen it in on the Master Chief Collection, but this is based off of the book version. This is really awesome armor. Normally, I don't really like bulky armor, but something about the SPI armor, it's so cool. I don't know why, but it works being really bulky for me. And the stuff looks really great. Now, it does have a blue visor currently. This is something that needs to change. They're still working on the model and the config and stuff like that for it. So there's going to be some errors and flaws with it, and they're going to continue improving it. So this is, again, by Shari. It's Ghost, and Baseplate is also assisted with like the textures and stuff on this. So it's kind of a joint project. Last time I talked about this, It's Ghost. I didn't realize he was working on it at the time when I'd recorded the audio, so I missed out crediting him. Same thing with Baseplate's efforts at the time, although I don't know if he'd even textured it back when I had covered it previously, or if that was done by somebody else at that point. But it is in now. It looks great. I will say that you guys are seeing cloaking with this. That is not something that is included with this mod. I am using TTS Cloak, which is a different mod on the workshop, which allows you to cloak units using Zeus, or set it up so that players can have the ability to cloak too. So yeah, it looks really great with this mod. Doesn't work in every environment, but it looked fantastic here, and it worked really just absolute wonders, and it's just so cool having all these guys basically pop out of cloak and just wreck all sorts of havoc and everything. So that's really neat, and I'm really excited for that one now that that's actually on the workshop and stuff. I've been playing around with that one a lot. I'm not gonna lie, I just really like that SPI armor. I'm excited to have it in. It sounds like it will get upscaled too for Spartan 3s. As of right now, it is only for regular humans and not the Spartan 3s. So it sounds like it will be getting changed or upscaled to be functional or compatible there with that. So that's something to look forward to with it, and any other changes that are going to come along, I don't know for certain, but I'm sure there's going to be other updates that are of interest to you guys. Then we've got the IMS Halo, or the Improved Melee System update from Webnight, and this is something we covered previously, but this was the compatibility and animation updates for Spartans and Elites. This adds in new weapons and stuff. So you've got the gravity hammer, the upsized energy sword, as well as still the smaller energy sword that was in there, and a UNSC knife in 2 different positions. And this has been added in. It adds in some new animations, new weapons and features and stuff. This has been a really fun mod too. I've been playing with this a whole bunch. Absolutely fantastic. There's a fair bit of footage for it. I don't really think I'll end up using all the footage I recorded for it. But it's just been a blast putting elites and Spartans and stuff up against each other and having them do like melee fighting and stuff like that. So thankfully there's already a modification to even further support this, which is the SA Halo Golf Club mod, which also just and it's a golf club mod. I mean, there's not much else to say about it. It adds in the golf club as a melee weapon. Yeah, that's it. So we need to talk about a number of other mods, but this is all going to be related from here on out to a single mod. So the Carver Findings has slowly been consuming all other mods in its path, kind of in the background now. And some of the stuff, like I said, there was stuff I couldn't talk about last week because it hadn't gone through yet, wasn't confirmed. So I just decided to hold off on talking about the Carver Findings and everything related to it altogether. Since then, that has gone through, so we're going to go ahead and start talking about that stuff. Before we talk about the Carver Findings specifically, let's go ahead and talk about the other mods which are being affected by Baseplate, who is, I guess, now the new side mod king, as he's been called by a couple people. The DMNS mod, or Demonic's Personal mod, has had its assets transferred into the Carver Findings. It sounds like his mod will still continue on, but it's going to basically host his assets that aren't going into the 19th for a while, or aren't unique to the 19th, and then they'll get shifted over to the Carver Findings after a bit. I don't know how relevant DMNS mod is going to be because of that, because obviously if you have the 19th Fleet mod, or if you have TCF, you have everything that's in DMNS mod, kind of making it a little bit pointless, but it does allow him testing and stuff like that, so there's at least personal use for him to it potentially. But if you don't want to use the 19th Fleet mod, you don't care about the unique assets in there, stuff like the short sword or the halberd and stuff, you could potentially use the DMNS mod, but if you're using the Carver Findings, all this stuff is in there as well now, so just something to think about, I guess. But yeah, that's something that happened already, but it's not by any means the only. Article 2 Declassified Fireteam Zulu is not being absorbed by the Carver Findings. However, Baseplate is taking control of the mod. Fireteam Zulu has been on the back burner and basically been in hiatus for ages now. I don't know how long it's been since the last update prior to the last one here. I want to say like a year or something past. Baseplate's taking control of Fireteam Zulu. He's opted to not make Fireteam Zulu part of the Carver Findings just because it's such a popular mod. He didn't want to pull it off the workshop or anything like that, and because it is still largely functional on its own. So he's going to take control of it. He will continue to update it. He's already made an update to it, which is added and adjusted and removed various textures as needed. Opcos has also had some assets shifted away to TCF, or the Carver Findings. So I don't know what assets from Opcos were removed or changed to pull over to TCF. I'm sure that list is somewhere. I didn't think of asking Baseplate or anybody else for that asset list, but that is something that happened. So yeah, again, Carver Findings eating everything in its path apparently and making it one giant mega mod, which is good. I'm actually all for this, to be honest. I'm sure that there's people who might not like it, but I also been a long time supporter of this. I remember a lot of people were really weary when it was like one extra side mod got added, and everybody's like, how many mods are we going to have in our mod list? And now we've got a million different mods we're covering. I mean, you can see I've talked about so many different mods here, and it's a list I had to keep in front of me now, which I didn't used to have to do. It used to just be, I cover 1 or 2 mods, and it's really easy just to remember everything. Now I've actually got to write everything down, because it's the only way I can remember what all this stuff I need to talk about is. So going back to Article 2 Declassified, Specialized Ordnance. That one is being absorbed into the Carver findings. That one's being discontinued. It's had a number of issues and flaws with the weapons and stuff. As such, Baseplate is discontinuing it. He's going to be shutting it down off of Steam, so you'll no longer be able to access it through that independently. With that being said, all of the assets and everything from it are going to be going into the Carver findings. Anything that wasn't working, Baseplate is going to update and get that stuff all working and everything again. So, Specialized Ordnance not disappearing, becoming its own mod, which I think this is the third time, maybe even the fourth time this mod has changed. I mean, this has gone through. I think this is actually the fourth time this mod is updated, because this started off as like Fletcher's mod, and then it became like Fletcher's Mod Plus, and then it became Spec Ord, and now it's part of the Carver findings. It's getting passed around like a bad disease, but it's a good disease, I guess, right? We like Spec Ord. And so yeah, no, it's gonna be a welcome addition to the Carver findings. Obviously, it adds in a bunch of unique ammo types and stuff like that. A couple of unique weapon modifications, and then the cricket launcher is in there too, which is a unique weapon. So a nice addition to see this getting added in and updated and kind of given a new life, because Spec Ord was the staple of a lot of units and stuff, and obviously with it being broken or not everything in there working, it kind of ruins that a little bit, takes away from it. And again, predating Spec Ord, this has been a popular mod for a long time, even predating that. So that's so then that brings us to the Carver findings. Now, the Carver findings has had a number of updates. There's a whole bunch of stuff that's actually changed. So I'll have the patch notes, and if I remember this time, which I didn't remember last time, I will post those on the screen on like a scrolling thing or something. So yeah, obviously, like I said, we just covered it. Spec Ord, OpCos, and DMNS assets are all getting absorbed into various extents into the Carver findings. A lot of the stuff has already been added in and shifted over, so you can see, like I said, the DMNS assets, the new Mombasa, or the old Mombasa buildings, were added in already. The Carver findings has a bunch of other stuff. It's got a bunch of hidden assets, hidden structures, and stuff from Operation Trebuchet have since been added in. Stuff that I put on GAO, like the little newsstands and the farmhouses and stuff. Now, the farmhouses were recently unhidden by OpTray main, but yeah, all this stuff, basically any hidden assets in the files, have been unveiled by the Carver findings. Not all these assets are really play-ready or appropriate even as background props, which is unfortunate, but, if you guys want to even just check them out, see stuff that was work in progress as part of OpTray's history, even if it's never going to get completed, which most of that stuff probably won't, it's neat to go, hey, this looks really cool. It's kind of fun to check it out. Some of it's going to make great background props, too. Those newsstands, even though they don't have collisions, they look fantastic. They look like they're pretty much ready to go. Same thing with the one garage that we got there and stuff. So, a bunch of new assets there. Some old assets, stuff like Big Wilk's transports that got pulled from Operation Trebuchet because he was going to rework them and then never did before retiring from the mod. His old version of the Marketplace from ODST, or the Uplift Reserve building. It's listed as Marketplace, but it's the Uplift Reserve building. So yeah, a lot of great changes there to the Carver findings, and like I said, they've absorbed a whole bunch of mods in and parts of mods. So if you guys aren't using the Carver findings, you're missing out on a ton of stuff. Unique assets and buildings and hidden assets from OpTray and all sorts of stuff like that. There's a lot of stuff going on in there that's gotten added in. But just in general, this has been a really busy week. I knew I would have a fair bit to talk about, but I did not anticipate how much stuff would happen over the course of... It's been 2 weeks. It's not been a week. But even just over the course of the 1 week was really busy. And then the last 2 weeks have been insane. So yeah, we got the Project Prometheus, we got the updates to New Mombasa, we got a bunch of new helmets, a bunch of stuff is released, and with Demonic, a bunch of stuff is right on the horizon of getting released. Awesome stuff going on. So everybody in the community, all the people who are working on this stuff, thank you guys. You guys are all doing awesome work, and I love all this Halo stuff we're getting in Arma. Almost a second renaissance, it feels like, with the amount of assets getting pumped out right now. With that being said, if you guys are part of the community who uses these assets, what are you guys most excited for from these releases we've talked about today? What do you guys want to see coming in future updates? Let me know in the comments below, guys. Take it easy, and I'll see you all in the next one.